Yeah. Full court press. CJ. Yeah, what we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies, dropping J's up. Players this elite, your shots on body blocking halftime. We break it down, we gon' call your bluff, it's past time. You recognize, press. We got the heat down in Florida with the keys. Guess we the best, magic, we flash with them fans listen, won't see the best. Show rise from the airwaves like all stars in them stairways. Local rockin', we not stopping, got hot topics like every day. Them trades hit that deadline, my team chasing in the big range, we ball, check that headline. Don't mess it up when you pick teams, the only station giving y'all that info with that real talk. Don't be trying to contest it, go toe to toe and get wheeled off. We shooting from deeper than that report from the bleachers. If you ain't on your game, then we got something to teach you. Tie your laces up, might get shook up out of them sneakers. That triple threat, bless your eardrum straight out of your speakers. Go from that black top to the hardwood, locker room to that press day. Got the scoop on them contracts, new prospects and best plays. NBA defined by the grind, in between the lines, full court pressing, finessing, read the signs. What we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies, dropping.
Good morning, basketball world. This is the Around the Association podcast, and this is December 5th, 2019, and I'm your host, Dane Thompson, checking in with you. And this is the best place to find everything you missed in the NBA in about 15 or so minutes. So, before we get into what you missed last night in the NBA, give me a follow on Twitter at Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, the number 3 Thompson on Twitter. That's T-H-O-M-P-S-O-N. Follow AroundTheAssociation.com as well as Around the Association on Facebook, as well as subscribe to this podcast. We're pretty much everywhere. You're going to find great podcasts everywhere from iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Podomatic, and every other place you're going to find podcasts everywhere across the world. So, last night in the NBA was a 10-game night in the NBA, so it was pretty busy. We had some great extending of winning streaks and also great individual performances. So let's get in with the game of the night last night. It was in Boston last night. Matchup-wise, you had two teams, the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics. The Celtics were undefeated at home this season. Miami had played 3 games in 4 nights on their road trip, and you can tell the Heat last night were a little behind last night. Not to mention Eric Spoelstra was not there due to the fact of the birth of his child, but it doesn't make excuses. Boston got 31 points from Jaylen Brown and took care of business against the Heat 112-93. Kemba Walker chipped in 28 points and 7 assists also for the Celtics last night. It was really Jaylen Brown knocking down some 3-pointers in the game, and really it was a dominating performance for the Celtics last night. Even though Marcus Smart was not in the lineup last night, Jason Tatum had 18 points. 19 points. Boston's now 8-0 at home this season. Jimmy Butler had 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Really, this was mostly a game about the Celtics spreading the game open in the third quarter. A huge 9-1 run, 9-1 run in the third quarter gave Boston an 80-67 lead late in the third quarter, spreading the lead out. Celtics ended up being up by 13 by the end of 3 quarters. Then Boston opened the fourth quarter with 7 straight points. Carson Edwards knocking down a 3 to cap off that run. And guess what? At that point, it was a 20-point game. And Miami couldn't control that one. I said 112-93 was the final last night. The Heat will head home. A solid lead. Solid road trip. They'll host the Washington Wizards on Friday night. Celtics will take on the Denver Nuggets at home, trying to continue their 9-0 streak at home. Speaking of streaks, the Milwaukee Bucks continued their winning streak last night by winning their 13th straight game in a row, 127-103 over the Detroit Pistons. Giannis had another MVP performance, 35 points to lead the Bucks last night. In a game that was very physical, technical fouls were thrown everywhere, but this was just the Bucks being dominant. 13 straight wins. This is the longest winning streak the Bucks has had since 72-73. Into the beginning of the next season, they won 13 in a row over that stretch, and then they had a 13-game winning streak of the following season right after that. Really, this was a game, like I said, really physical, a lot of words being exchanged, technical fouls. There were 6 in this game to be total. This is a team that's played a lot. The Pistons have struggled against the Bucks. They've lost the last 10 games now against the Bucks. They lost all 8 matchups last year with Milwaukee, lost the game, the end of the season last year in the first game this season. It was really, really physical. Pistons just couldn't keep up last night. What spread the game open was a 13-2 run late in the second quarter, gave the Bucks an 18-point lead, and that point the Pistons couldn't get within 11, and that's the closest they got the entire game. Giannis had a huge third quarter, had 12 points. Bucks led by 20 at the end of three quarters. What Milwaukee did was great defensively. Detroit was one of the best 3-point shooting team in the league, going into the game shooting at 40%. They shot 30% last night from the 3-point line. And really, this is the reason why the Bucks are one of the best teams in the NBA. Like I said, the 35 from Giannis. They also got 17 points, 8 rebounds from Chris Middleton. Eric Bledsoe chipped in 13 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. Detroit was led by Andre Drummond's 23 points and 14 rebounds. Langston Galloway had 20 points off the bench for the Pistons. Speaking of winning streaks, the LA Lakers have won now 10 games in a row on the road, defeating the Utah Jazz 121-96. This was the game where the Lakers had basically used the fast break to destroy the Jazz last night. Even though and the thing is, you would think that the team that was more tired was the Lakers after playing last night on Wednesday night. They had Tuesday night had more energy than they did on Tuesday night last night in Utah. Why was the energy there? 32-5 in fast break points last night. Anthony Davis, 26 points. LeBron James had his 17th double-double of the season with 20 points and 12 assists for the Lakers last night. Got to give the Lakers credit on defense. They shut the Jazz down on both ends of the floor. Jazz shot abysmal 41% from the floor, even though the Jazz did shoot 45% from the three-point line. But the thing was, the Jazz they only caused 7 turnovers. Lakers controlled the ball, handled the ball very well. Very good assist turnover ratio, 27-7 as a team. Rajon Rondo was a big key for that last night. He had 14 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds off the bench in 32 minutes for the Lakers. Jazz were yelled out by Bojan Bogdanovic, had 23 points, 23 points, and Donovan Mitchell had 29 points and 5 assists for the Jazz. Jazz are now 12-10 on the season. We'll start from top to bottom for the rest of the night around the NBA. In Charlotte, Devontae Graham tied a franchise record with 10 3-pointers in the game. He had had most of his points from the 3-point line. Hornets take care of the Warriors 106-91 at home. D'Angelo Russell made his return to the lineup after missing a good stretch of games due to injuries. And they also, even though Russell had 18 points coming in his first game back, they also got Draymond Green back, who had 5 points and 6 assists. But this was really about the buzz last night. Like I said, Graham had 10 3-pointers in the game. He shot 10 of 16 from beyond the arc. He did not hit a single 2-point shot the entire game. The other 3 points came from a free throw. Terry Rozier, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists in his effort last night. Hornets really just did a lot of damage from that 3-point line last night. Outside of Graham last night, they hit 21 3-pointers as a team, 21 of 48 from the 3-point line, which is almost 44%. Hornets played really well. In a game they had to win, and this was all about the Hornets beating teams they're supposed to win. Hornets would take on the Nets on Friday night, potentially with Kyrie Irving returning to the lineup. Warriors travel to Chicago to end their road trip on Friday night. Out in Orlando last night, down here in the Sunshine State, the Magic took care of the Suns 128-114. Magic won the third straight game in a row. Aaron Gordon, 32 points, which was a season high for him. The Magic finally, the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, finally looked like a team that was shooting the ball at the end of last season. Gordon knocking down 5 3-pointers last night. Terrence Ross had a good game as well, too. The key with the Magic was, it was all about the 3-point shot last night. The NBA's worst 3-point shooting team last night hit 14 of 25 last night, which is a huge number for them last night. Actually, for the season, Evan Fournier had 21 points. Like I said, Ross had the 22 off the bench. Mo Bamba had a solid double-double with 10 points and 11 rebounds off the bench for the Magic, along with 4 blocks. This was a dominating performance. Gordon had a huge third quarter, including a stretch of the game where the Magic had spread the game open. It was a 14-1 run to start the third quarter, and then to give the Magic a 79-62 lead, which pretty much put the game away after the Suns led by 10 points in the first half. It was just big shooting. I mean, Frank Kaminsky had 21 points at halftime to lead the Suns, but Kaminsky's 21 points ended up being 23. Magic played good defense in the second half. Phoenix, like I said, was led by Kaminsky, 22 points. Also got 16 points from Chase Diallo, and Devin Booker, 17 points and 5 assists for the Suns. Magic are playing better basketball is what they need to do, and this is, like I said, kind of the same thing with Charlotte. Games you have to win, especially at home. Speaking of being at home, the Atlanta Hawks could not figure out how to get it together. Nets took care of the Hawks last night in Atlanta, 130-118. Another game where the Hawks did not play well defensively. Jared Allen led the Nets with 20 points and 13 rebounds to go along with 3 blocks. Torian Prince against his former team torched them last night, 23 points, but really the big game came for Spencer, for Garrett Temple, who had a season at 27, and Spencer Dinwiddie had 18 of his 24 in the second half of the victory. The Hawks got 39 points and 10 assists from Trae Young, along with 25 points and 6 rebounds from Cam Reddish. Really, like I said, which is a very bad defensive game for Brooklyn last night. For Atlanta last night. Couldn't keep Brooklyn from making shots last night throughout the entire game. Nets shot 50% from the floor and 46% from the three-point line. You can't do that in games like that. This was a game that was a dominating game for the Nets, who have won 6 of their last 8 games. So that's a really impressive thing, with Kyrie potentially be back on Friday in Charlotte. Just Atlanta has seemed to struggle without John Collins. The other part of the game was the Nets destroyed the Hawks in the offensive glass. 18 offensive rebounds for the Nets last night in the game. Out in Chicago, Bulls took care of the Grizzlies last night. First winning streak of the season for the Bulls, 106-99. Zach LaVine had 25 points. Wendell Carter Jr., 16 points, 13 rebounds for the Bulls against beating the short-handed Grizzlies team, who did get Jonas Valanciunas back, who had 32 points and 13 rebounds. But like I said, the Grizzlies are still short-handed, especially in the backcourt. No John Morant, no Brandon Clark either. Valanciunas, like I said, 32 points in his first game back after being out for a few games. He also contributed 13 rebounds. Bulls did a lot of damage. All 5 starters were in double figures last night. Lauri Markkanen had 15 points for the Bulls in the victory as well, too. Out in Oklahoma City, Pacers continue to keep the winning ways, 107-100 over the Oklahoma City Thunder last night. Domantas Sabonis had 17 points, 13 rebounds to pace the way. TJ Warren led the Pacers in scoring with 24 points. Kind of the same thing with the Bulls. All 5 starters, and then Justin Holiday all were in double figures, and Doug McDermott. So I had 7 guys in double figures in the game. Like I said, paced by the 24 from Warren. This was a game where the Pacers continued to find ways to win, especially in the second half. Thunder couldn't figure out how to stop the defense in the second half. Thunder was up by the break, couldn't figure out how to keep it going in the second half. Pacers got stops in the fourth quarter. And the thing with the Thunder is that they've 8 of their 12 losses have been by 7 points or under. It's just been a struggle in the third quarter for them this season, where they've had leads but have not continued to maintain them at halftime. Last night was nothing different. Pacers took control in the early part of the fourth quarter and not let up in the game. Thunder were led by Steven Adams, who had a season high 20 points, and Dennis Schroeder 18 points. And Chris Paul struggled from the floor last night, 2 of 9 shooting, but he did have 10 assists in the game for the Thunder. Other games out in the NBA last night, you had, in the final game, 2 more games left in the NBA for Wednesday night. Dallas took care of the Timberwolves 121-114. This was a game where the actual Mavericks, other players other than Luka Doncic, had huge games last night. Season highs from Dwight Powell, who had 24 points, and Jalen Brunson, who scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, had finished with 16 to give the Mavs the momentum they needed to take care of that one. Luka Doncic, he didn't have the same game Luka's been having all season. He finished with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists in the game. Just shot 8 of 22 from the floor. But his big three-pointer, his only three-pointer in the fourth quarter, gave the Mavericks a 9-point lead to stretch the game open. And the Timberwolves, they were in the game throughout, but like I said, it was just too much of Luka and company. Especially, like I said, Brunson's 14 points was huge in the fourth quarter. Timberwolves were led by Karl-Anthony Towns, who had 26 points and 9 rebounds to go on 7 assists. Andrew Wiggins, 26 points and 5 rebounds for the Timberwolves. Final game of the night out in Portland last night. Blazers stopped the Kings at home last night, 127-116. Blazers had 4 guys with over 20 points last night, led by CJ McCollum, who had 33 points. This is McCollum's 10th straight game with 20 or more points, which is a career high. Huge fourth quarter from the Blazers. They pulled away late. Like I said, they got 4 guys with 20 points. Dame Lillard had 24 points and 10 assists. Hassan Whiteside, 22 points, 16 rebounds, their career 7 assists. Melo had 20 points in his for the Blazers as well, too. Blazers got big scoring numbers from a lot of their guys last night. Kent Bazemore hit some huge shots in the fourth quarter. He had 15 points and a couple 3-pointers to give the Blazers a victory. Kings were led by Rashad Holmes with 28 points and 10 rebounds. The Kings were a little short-handed, not having besides De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley. The sharpshooting six-man Bojan Bojanovic was also out as well too. They got 17 points for Bjelica. Buddy Hield had another solid numbers across the board: 23 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and also chipped in with 2 steals. The problem was Hield was 8 of 24 from the floor last night. Blazers had a huge, won their 3rd consecutive game at home. Like I said, it was really all CJ McCollum's 14 22 shooting for the 33 points. So like I said, busy night in the NBA, 10 games on the schedule. So who was the stud of the night last night? Well, with so many games in the NBA last night, you got to give the stud of the night to Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. The 31 points were a season high. It was Jaylen Brown knocking down the 3-point shot. Jaylen Brown was pretty much everyone on the floor. The 31 points, the 4 rebounds. Like I said, it was huge shooting from him last night. And anytime you can beat a team in your conference that's an elite team, and the Heat have been an elite team all season, you got to give the stud of the night. Other guys you want to give credit out to last night, big shout outs to, were Devontae Graham for, like I said, the 33 points for him last night, the season, and the franchise, tying the franchise record for 3-pointers in the game. Also, you got to give Anthony Davis his credit, 26 points and 6 rebounds as well too. So, going into Thursday's games, it's a lighter night in the NBA. Thursday's normally a lighter night around the NBA, and it's only a 4-game schedule, and with no national TV games on TNT Thursday night. Let's get into what we have. Game of the night will be in Toronto on NBA TV. The Rockets take on the Raptors. Raptors are still reeling in their first home loss of the season, going against a Rockets team that had James Harden score 50. Problem was he scored 50 points, took 38 shots. Russell Westbrook took 30 shots in his triple-double. Those two combined for, 18 for 68, which is the worst of any two in a game, scoring that many points, I think, in the history of the NBA. Raptors are now, will have another full day to get Kyle Lowry back in the lineup. Lowry made his return last night, on Tuesday night, and he had a double-double, but he shot 2 of 18 from the floor. Rockets are starting to get, Rockets will be running up and down. The Raptors will still be doing the same thing, but it'll be really interesting to see what head coach Nick Nurse does with Norman Powell. Powell played really well without Lowry in the lineup. He even had 23 points in his first game, Lowry's first game back. Powell, if he continues to go back in that 6-man role, he could be a huge dividend and a huge asset for the Raptors. Other games on the menu, Sixers and Wizards out in Washington and out in DC. This should be an entertaining affair. Wizards, one of the best offensive teams in the league. Problem is, the Wizards don't have Thomas Bryant because of a stress fracture. Joel Embiid and Al Horford should just toast what's left of the Wizards front line. Out in New York, Denver takes on the Knicks. Denver starts their road trip. Knicks are trying to find some kind of traction. This could get ugly. The Knicks are the Nuggets were the best defensive teams in the NBA. Knicks have struggled to score. That's pretty much what you're going to be going into. Last game of the night is going to be probably a more entertaining game of the night. Suns and Pelicans should be an up and down affair. Suns are coming off a back-to-back when they lost to Orlando on Wednesday night. Pelicans are still finding their way. They've just been inconsistent on defense this year. But don't forget, the last time they won, Phoenix took care of business, 124-121, and it was a different stretch of teams that game. I'm sorry, the Pelicans won that game, 124-121. It was part of the best stretch of the Pelicans basketball season since then. But it's been a lot going on since then. The Pelicans have lost 6 straight games, and they need to find ways, especially defensively, to stop it. They just, like I said, they had a tough game the other night. Against the Mavericks on Tuesday night, a huge damage run in the second quarter, put them away. Pelicans need to start playing better defense. So that's your night in the NBA for Wednesday night, as well as the preview for Thursday. So follow me on Twitter at Danny DANNY Thompson on Twitter, as well as the Rally Association on Facebook and the Rally Association website. Yes, I will have my awards up probably today. I've been working on them. The early season awards, as well as there'll be other articles coming up the rest of the week. Follow me on Twitter at Danny3 Thompson on Twitter, as well as follow Rally Association, the podcast, everywhere you go. Subscribe to iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, Podomatic, Podcast Addict, Google Podcasts, everywhere you guys go. So I'll let my man Cam James send you guys out. Enjoy your Thursdays. Catch you later. Peace.
Trackaholic music.
Go for launch.
Yeah. Full court pressure. CJ. Yeah. What we talk.